I'm Greg Shapiro, and let's queer up politics. ACLU tracks more than 500 anti-LGBTQ state bills in ongoing legislative sessions. The American Civil Liberties Union released its updated 2026 legislative tracker documenting more than 500 bills filed in legislatures nationwide targeting LGBTQ+ civil rights. Its comprehensive mapping categorizes measures across key policy areas, including restrictions on gender-affirming healthcare, bans on trans youth participation in sports, classroom censorship laws, and limitations on updating identity documents. According to the ACLU's analysis, state legislatures have increasingly focused measures on restricting access to medical care and curtailing drag performances and public gender expression. While dozens of harmful measures have been successfully defeated through civil rights litigation and community advocacy, civil rights attorneys warn that the sheer volume of legislation creates a hostile climate for LGBTQ families. Emphasizing the civil rights implications of the national legislative push, the ACLU said, quote, "While not all of these bills will become law, they all cause harm for LGBTQ+ people." For LGBTQ+ advocates and constitutional scholars, the ongoing tracking highlights a critical imperative. Protecting equal rights requires continuous court challenges, grassroots advocacy, and federal non-discrimination standards to counter state-level rollbacks. Well, I sound like a broken record because I know that we have said this repeatedly on this show, but this is why it is so extremely important to vote. If you are an LGBTQ, if you are an ally, please go to the polls, vote during the primaries, and vote during elections. Please do your civic duty and participate in the electoral process. Our lives depend on it.
You know, I don't want to minimize this at all, but you have to remember a lot of, when it says like 500 or 5,000 or whatever the number is, a lot of these are filed knowing they'll never go anywhere. These are filed in New York and Rhode Island and California by Republican legislators who want to show that they're ready for whatever in their state for their next level up or statewide run or whatever. But still, it's telling an entire class of people, especially an entire class of children, that we see you and we do not consider you equal. You are second class, and we're going to make sure you are aware of it. So that's what these bills do. Even if they never become law, kids know that these things are out there and who they're targeted against.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think youth in general knows a lot more than, say, we did. I mean, they are exposed to so much more than we are. So they are very privy to all these things, and it is very demoralizing. And I think something else that's very important in there, and, you know, along the lines of voting, and unfortunately we'll never see it with this administration, but we definitely need to start working at a national level as well, because unfortunately when some of the national federal protections start to disappear, it triggers state laws that have been sitting there on the books since the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s when, civil rights was even worse. I mean, I hate to say that, even though it seems like we're getting worse. So if the federal protections start to disappear as well, then that actually triggers the state level stuff, and they automatically go into law because that's the way they're written. Yep. So there's a lot of and a lot of people also, I know I have a lot of friends who say, well, if I don't vote, then it's stuff that doesn't affect me, so it doesn't matter. Or my vote doesn't matter because of the Electoral College, or my vote doesn't matter because I'm 1 in a billion. And I'm like, but it does. It does, because one vote could trigger a runoff. One vote can trigger a law to go into effect, and one vote could cancel my existence in this country as a gay man. One vote could cancel my protections from being fired because I'm gay. There's so many levels that one vote could trigger. So, this is definitely important, and to stay on top of not only your local, your state level, but, the national news as well.
Vote.
Definitely. Well, there is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.